a healthy cell does not respond to a light. But if the cell is damaged or diseased in any way, shape, or form, then when the single frequency is sensed, then it signals directly through the membrane of the cell, directly into the guts of the cell. And you literally turn on the bioelectronics of the cell, and the cell starts healing itself, just like your TV set came on. And once you've done that, then the cell can take over and jumpstart its own repair and keep going. So a light, these single-frequency lights, can be construed as just a remote control for jump-starting your cell to heal itself.
The red light is called what in the single-frequency bandwidth?
It's called two things. It's called a laser or a light-emitting diode. Now, there's only really two ways to isolate and produce a single wave of light, and that is with a laser or with what is called a light-emitting diode. Lasers we're all familiar with. They come in different strengths. There's cutting lasers, there's little laser pointers. There are various power levels of lasers. And what is the nature of a laser is that it is single wavelength, and it's called coherent or highly focused. That's why you see a point when you do a laser. It's focused. The other type of way to produce a single frequency is a light-emitting diode, which most of our listeners are aware of as these little red, blue, green indicator lights in their electronic equipment and their smoke detectors and their dashboards of their cars, etc. Those little lights are called light-emitting diodes, and they differ from a laser. They're similar to a laser in the sense they produce a single wavelength, but they differ from the laser in the sense that they are not focused. Their light doesn't come to a point. It actually widens into a broader circle as you, say, pull an LED away from, if you shine it on a piece of paper up close, you get a dot. As you pull further away from the paper, then the dot widens. That's called non-coherent, and it's defocused. So the difference is that in treating tissue, it doesn't matter whether you are focused or not focused. What is important is that it's a single frequency. So that allows us to use lasers or LEDs to treat tissue.
I'm surprised the FDA hasn't gone after the technology. How come the technology is allowed to proceed?
Well, first of all, lasers are usually allowed only for treating by qualified professionals. Why? Because a laser can have harmful effects. You can actually overuse it on tissue. You can put it in sensitive areas and cause damage, like your eyes. We see a lot of articles in the newspaper about banning laser pointers in schools because kids shine it in each other's eyes and damage the eyes. So the FDA basically says, okay, well, lasers can be controlled by practitioners, and so therefore that's who we'll allow to do, quote, research work. And the LEDs, of course, are in every kind of electronic equipment all over the world, so you can't really regulate LEDs, and there's no need to anyway because they're so safe. And you can point an LED in your eye and leave it there all day if you want, and you're not going to have any negative effects. So the FDA has been 2 points. They have been pretty strong on who can use lasers, and then second, they've been pretty strong on other companies making claims about things that can be done with LEDs. So I think that has pretty much restricted things from moving ahead as fast as they could. But I think the marketing people, companies have kind of sidestepped that a lot. If today you notice that there are a lot of advertisements for using single frequency light for cosmetic use, for reducing wrinkles, for basically the cosmetic application area is not as controlled by the FDA.
What about the saunas? There's the saunas with light. What are they called?
Far infrared sauna?
Right, the far infrared saunas. What about those?
Well, a far infrared sauna uses a type of an LED in the sense that it has a single frequency, but it's up in the infrared range, 940. And by putting the saunas using that particular frequency, it's used to help open pores in the skin, to diffuse toxicity that accumulates in the fat. When people get a lot of toxic metals and so forth, your body protects it by putting it into the fat of your body and encapsulating it into a little liquid bubble, almost like water. And this protects your body. Well, a far infrared sauna will open up your pores, allow you to perspire, and that particular frequency will pop the little water bubble on the heavy metal, and it'll swish out of your body. So far infrared saunas are a specialized use of a single wavelength of light in the infrared range.
I hear they're marvelous.
Yes, they are. They're great for detoxing the body. They're great for stimulating immune system, relaxing joints, etc., like that. But again, keep in mind, far infrared is another aspect of light therapy. Actually, the far infrared uses a LED-type technology. They're made differently than the LEDs we've been talking about, but essentially they produce a single frequency.
Right.
Coming back to LEDs in healing, the reason I think it's important now is that back in the late 70s and 80s, the discovery of what I just told you, the mechanism of how these LEDs work on tissue, or healing and regeneration of tissue and pain relief, was started in Russia by a group in Moscow who published a lot of information in the 70s and 80s on the use of light and how this mechanism works that I simplified for you. And it started spreading over to the United States and got more widely applied. But then in the year 2000, NASA kind of accelerated it when they came out in National Geographic magazine in 2001, I believe, where they said, we're using LEDs to heal our astronauts in space.
Heal them from what?
Any wounds. When an astronaut is in the weightlessness of space, wounds do not heal. You need gravity to heal. That's an interesting concept.
I didn't know that.
You're right. So if you get injured up there, you don't heal till you get back down here. So the NASA was interested in the fact that LEDs would accelerate regeneration about a factor of 5 times faster than normal. So that way they could theoretically use LED units on an astronaut in space who got injured, and they would heal 5 times faster, and so therefore they would allow some healing to take place before they got back. So that's essentially the nature of it, and in that National Geographic, it kind of opened the whole topic. And it started touting where some research was being done at some of the universities. And this precipitated a wider spread use of many companies coming in and trying to duplicate the technology. And so we now in today's world, you can go on internet and Google and under LED lights and different colors and different keywords, but basically there's a lot of stuff out there now about the use of LEDs and lasers. So my point